Joining me now is head coach Heather Tarr of UW softball. I like to say the winningest coach on Mott Lake and a perennial top team in the world of softball every year. And coach, first and foremost, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I just feel like the last 2 weeks has been a major adjustment for everybody, lifestyle-wise, business-wise, and I'm out here where my family lives in Central Washington, just trying to stay healthy and not get into public spaces and just try to keep everybody safe.
I tell you, it was an odd week leading up to the cancellation of everything pretty much. We had the U.S. national team coming to town, a team that I know you're involved with. We'll get to that in a moment. They were supposed to have the big exhibition. You guys are getting ready for your Pac-12 opener at home, your first game at home this season. After you're doing great, I think what you have, only 2 losses, 23-2, if I'm not mistaken, at that point. You guys played a lot of games. It was starting off to be a great season. Can you tell me just how that all went? Because it all kind of started to really get rolling once the U.S. national team said, okay, we're out of here. We're not doing any of this stuff. And then it just seemed like within that next 24 hours, everything kind of just went crazy.
Yeah, it was kind of surreal almost. Like, the national team was coming up. We were going to open our home season for our awesome fans who had been waiting 25 games while watching us on TV and while we were on the road, but they were waiting for us to open up our season at home. And unfortunately, while the national team was here training, a lot of stuff went down, and both teams, our team and their team, we were in the Dempsey indoor doing our practices respectively. And then that night, the national team decided, look, like we're going to get out of here. And we were like, okay, that's fine. And then, of course, the next day, that Thursday we were supposed to play them, everything kind of got shut down. And it was kind of sad. It was like, wait, what's happening? The season's over? Is it canceled? Is it suspended? And so just a lot of unknowns, and navigating that with our team was pretty emotional, thinking about the seniors. We've got an amazing senior class, as we most of the times do, with, Sis Bates specifically, Morgan Flores, Kai Gibson, and Taryn Atlee potentially. It could have been a career ending at the moment. So it was just really emotional. And we had to go through that and figure out what was next. And then it kind of got scary. And, you got kids from other countries on our team, Gabby Plain, trying to figure out how to get her home. And our athletic department was awesome, and they supported all of our athletes if they needed it to try to, get them home to wherever they needed to be. So it's very just up and down, and didn't really know what was going to happen next. And here we are today, 3 weeks later, wow, okay, well, this is what's happening.
So much uncertainty with what is going on for everybody. And it was a shock. I'm sure you guys put so much into the season and getting your chance to play. What has it been like just not having? I mean, I would dare to say that the intensity levels for Heather Tarr's heartbeat is pretty high in the months of spring, but to not have that, to have this weather, to have the season start to turn, and you're not out there where you've been probably since you were a little girl.
Yeah, we're just addicted to competing and building teams and competing with the University of Washington softball team year in and year out. And I obviously have never had a spring off. We've never, as a program, gone through an experience where, technically you're having a spring break. I mean, you're not really, because of the times and being, in our states, whatever the states are, you're not really out at spring break. But it's just a weird time, because so much of what we do has to do with planning something or preparing something, or this day attaches to the next day. So you really find yourself soul searching in, leadership roles. You're like, okay, well, what do you attach yourself to? What are you trying to do? And how can you maybe pivot your business to something else? We have a volunteer assistant on staff, and her livelihood functions on our summer camp business, and so that may not go on. So there's just a lot of things that are up in the air and unknowns. You're trying to support your unit, your family, your business, if you will, and you feel for Jen Cohen and athletic leadership, and that kind of stuff. But I mean, at the end of the day, you want to support what you need to support, and is that is it more important that we support UW medicine right now and the efforts that are going on in the hospitals and all that stuff. So it's just it's an interesting time. You really have to think about like what's most important today and right now for the future.
When you get your team back and you play again, and I think I listened to Sanjay Gupta. He's the doctor on CNN the other night, and people were asking questions, and he said this will end at some point. This will end. So at some point you're going to get back to coaching and having team huddles again and having fun. Hey, hold on one second. Do you remember Kevin Beatty from Redmond
Yes.
High School?
I do.
She can't see us though, Kev. There's something wrong with the Skype thing. But Kevin is a Mustang, and then Shannon O'Donnell he went to Redmond High School with. So Kevin's right here. He's our producer of our 6 o'clock show. And he came back with this sign that said, "Go Stangs." So anyways.
Yep.
Anyway, what I was talking about was when this team comes back together, whatever it is, and we'll talk about that in a second with the eligibility stuff. How different are not only you, your staff, but these players? I mean, this is a defining moment for humanity, and especially players that, my son plays high school baseball. Their season was canceled. And I don't think he's ever going to look at his teammates or that opportunity to walk on the field again and to every at-bat. He's not going to take any one of those lightly. It's going to be transformative, I think, in a positive way, don't you?
I think there's a lot that's going to change in a positive way. Like the scope of what we do has spread so broad, whether that be in college football or, high school sports or youth sports, of course, our sport. Like things just get like so massively, sometimes like disproportionate for like really what's important. And you really start to center yourself on like what really is crucial, what's critical, what's important. Does this really matter? Whether that be like playing time or your role in the program, or maybe, what Adidas shoes we didn't get this year or we wanted but we couldn't have. Like, I mean, some of those things you're like, who cares? Let's just have our team together and our unit together. Whether we're mismatched or we don't have the, right things right now. I think you just really start to hone in on what's important. I mean, you think too about our senior class. They could have been done with their careers and had the athletic directors and our president, not been able to support the endeavors of the eligibility relief and all of that. It's still up in the air and funding wise, but I think there's so many things to be grateful for that we try to live with great, like just gratitude and all that kind of stuff. But really this is going to, I think, just change the way that we do business, whether that's, I don't know, just trying to be more economically minded, financially sound, make better decisions without wasting money, all that kind of stuff. I mean, the true essence of sports is really kind of back to the ground. Like we're playing it because we love the game. We're playing it because we want to become a team and we want to become the best versions of ourselves through those team environments, all that. I think that's just really, it should really ground our experiences even more than they already were trying to be grounded.
It sounds like you've had a lot of time to think and put things in perspective. And not that you ever didn't before. You're one of my favorite coaches over there because just the way you go about things. But I mean, I think I was reading a book about admirals and how admirals in the Navy have a lot of time on the ocean, a lot of time to think. And suddenly we are given that. And I mean, obviously you just talked about a lot of things, but mentally and just spiritually, I guess, if you want to go there, what has this 3 weeks been like just for you?
Yeah, I think, I think this will make us all better at what we do, whether you're in your business, you get to sportscast and you get to say the news from your perspective, when I get to coach from my perspective. But I don't think it won't only change who we are as business people or what we do, but it's also going to change how you see your other part of your life. Like for me, life got stopped. And so you're thinking like, well, what else do I do? Like I don't do anything else but coach softball.
Right.
So it really puts in perspective, like be more than just that. Be more than just a coach. Like go do stuff, go hike, go bike. I mean, of course, some of that kind of stuff is taken away a little bit right now, but I think there's some other parts of life that you realize, like, whoa, like, what if I'm not the coach of the University of Washington? Like, you're kind of thinking, like, what am I?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's also been something to think long and hard about when you know, like, the thing that you live and love the most is your work. Sometimes you kind of have to like sit back and think, like, well, maybe I need to be a little bit more than just that. And so I can be better when I come back to working again.
I think a lot of people are having those moments and those thoughts, and it's interesting. We're all kind of on the pause button in so many regards, and it'll be interesting on the other end of this, just how we function as human beings and treat each other and move forward. Speaking of those talented seniors, and they did go ahead and say that the seniors from spring sports get another year of eligibility. It's awesome for them. And there are so many questions still to be answered as far as the funding, like you said, and rosters and stuff. But you also have freshmen coming in. Does that kind of boggle the mind a little bit? Or do you have to take some time to wrap your head around that and just see how this whole thing plays out?
It's definitely going to have to settle in. I think initially what this whole eligibility relief was designed for was the senior class. And so for the next year, as long as the athletic department can fund or we, can fund those seniors' scholarships, they can come back. But as seniors are, they're always thinking like, okay, what do I need to do next to be ready for it? And they're so well prepared. So a lot of our seniors already knew what was going to happen next year for them, whether that be grad school or positioning an internship, or maybe you don't know, but you don't have the funding for it because you weren't on scholarship your senior year. And so there's a lot that is going to go into them being able to come back for next year. They've all four said they're going to come back. And of course, funding and all that is hugely important to their experiences because, they wouldn't come here without being able to have some form of financial aid. So we're still working through a lot of that. But then the next year, what happens with the scholarships is this year the seniors get to be non-counters in our 12 that we get, the 12 scholarships that we get per our roster. But then the following year, the scholarships go back to 12 and you don't have more than what you have. And you got to start making decisions as a program of where the money goes, or, because you overcommit the money ultimately now. And so
Right.
it's going to be a shifting process. I think we're going to have to ask people to share in money and give money back because we're what we call an equivalency sport, unlike basketball and maybe football and volleyball, where everybody's on a full ride. Whereas now, you're gonna have to maybe share money, and we're lucky to be able to do that. Whereas like maybe some of the, programs that are not that way, don't have the ability to share, but it's just the spring sports that are going to deal with this, and we're going to figure it out. And we want to support all of our women in the best way that we can, but there's definitely going to be a settling process over the next 2 or 3 years, where we've got to figure out, who gets the money.
Right. And how does that affect the lower levels, meaning the high schools, going down, not just seniors that didn't get a season, juniors, sophomores, those coming up, and not just from the recruiting standpoint, but just space?
Yeah, it's definitely, there's some things that are going to shake out and shift out, and I don't really know exactly how it's going to work out, but there's juniors that have committed to schools already, juniors in high schools. There's seniors that maybe didn't have a place to go yet that were still trying to find their way, and you don't know what's going to happen. And it is so much unknown. And, I just feel bad for, I guess, like the high school or youth scene, only in that, like, you don't get this year to develop. But then again, you look at it and you're like, oh my gosh, there's like so many things that you can do that you will never get this chance probably again to go outside on your own. I mean, I've been with my niece and nephew and been playing games against the wall, throwing balls against a pitchback that, I mean, neither of them probably care to play college sports, but like through those experiences, they actually got better at throwing the ball against the wall, and they know more techniques now. And so I'm kind of interested to see what this time away from, maybe a coach or somebody telling you what to do really does to the human, because as I think we all know, think so many of the things that happen towards greatness are things that maybe happen on your own in your own brain. And I think sometimes during these kind of times, so much more can actually happen than if you were just aimlessly wandering through practice with, you're really not present, you're really not there. So I'm kind of excited to see like just what development does. But I have a passion for youth sports and little league, and I mean, what happens to maybe the future USA national team member, whatever sport it is, like doesn't get to play the sport that they were supposed to play when they're 8 and doesn't get this year of development and maybe chooses a different sport or doesn't play that sport. That's kind of like, I've kind of reached out to Little League to ask them, like, how can we help the coaches maybe that were going to coach for the first time ever this spring because they had a daughter entering or a son entering the sport, but then they didn't get to coach and the kid didn't get to have that experience. So we're trying to work some things out with Little League that, we have to be NCAA compliant with, but I want to work with Little League even and help them, help the coaches maybe like learn a little bit more about maybe next year they want to coach and they're going to be that much more armed and prepared to coach the sport because maybe we did like a free clinic for them online or something like that.
That's awesome. I love the way you're forward thinking, just the whole big picture. If you'll bear with me here, I have a friend who works with Windermere, and just on that about what you said, how kids could be different. And we were talking about that we were bummed that our kids, the school was canceled here. But if you don't mind, I'm going to read this to you that she wrote to me. And she said, could we be building an incredible generation? If they cancel the rest of the school year, students would miss 2.5 months of education. Many people are concerned about students falling behind because of this. Yes, they may fall behind when it comes to classroom education, but what if? What if instead of falling behind, this group of kids are advanced because of this? What if they have more empathy? They enjoy family connection. They can be more creative and entertain themselves. They love to read. They love to express themselves in writing. What if they enjoy the simple things, like their own backyard, like you said, and sitting near a window in the quiet? What if they notice the birds and the dates and the different flowers emerge and the calming renewal of a gentle rain shower? What if this generation are the ones to learn to cook, organize their space, do their laundry, and keep a well-run home? What if they learn to stretch a dollar and learn to live with less? What if they learn to play? What if they learn to plan shopping trips and meals at home? What if they learn the value of eating together as a family and finding the good to share in the small delights of every day? What if they are the ones to place great value on our teachers and educational professionals, librarians, public servants, coaches, and the previously invisible essential support workers like truck drivers, grocers, cashiers, custodians, logistics, healthcare workers, and their supporting staff, just to name a few of the millions taking care of us right now while we're sheltered in place? This is the best part. What if among these children a great leader emerges who had the benefit of a slower pace and a simpler life to truly learn what really matters in this life? And ultimately, what if they are ahead? And it's just kind of what you're talking about. It's this moment, I think we could end up all being better for it on the other end. And I love the amount of thinking that you're doing, just, passing it down. It's incredible. Very cool.
Yeah, who wrote that?
My friend Laura Smith with Windermere sent it to me. I'm not sure if she's the one. I think she wrote it. Yeah, because she's pretty sharp. I can send it to you if you want. So. Yeah,
it's so true. I mean, I'm looking at my niece and nephew right now across the yard, and they're going to be embarrassed because they're like, cool and in ninth and a senior in high school. But I'm just like, I look at my nephew hold the lacrosse stick, and like there's certain things that he's doing now that he wouldn't be doing, and they're having to pivot their education to a situation where they're like, okay, like now all this stuff is online. Like, okay, how do I do this? And so many colleges are now online. And as they grow and learn how to manage their own lives, like this time is, like you're saying, it's pivotal to being able to be better. I mean, you think about our parents, and they were raised by folks that were through the Great Depression and in wars and those kind of things. I'm not saying that any of this is like that, but I mean, it could be to the point of that well-written statement. So we're going to take it as a positive. We're going to take it as a positive in our program at the University of Washington. We get to meet with our team twice a week via Zoom, and you're trying to enrich their lives with the experiences and have them reflect on, what did you learn today? Like, how did you use today to get better, and not wait, to, see what happens. Like, make your day happen, figure it out, be better, all that kind of stuff. And we just try to use the lessons that we have as if we were together playing, playing UCLA tomorrow. Who knows?
Right. When it comes to the U.S. team and your role as a coach with them, I was talking to Sue Bird, I think, last week, but she was saying that, yeah, granted, everything was up in the air, but the Olympics were still kind of hanging out there. And then they were canceled as well, postponed till next year. Was that also something in the back of your mind? I was like, okay, well, what if I have to do this? Or, as far as just the big picture of things, and was there a sense of relief based on everything going on in the world when that finally came through, because it just seemed like everything would be hopefully right when, the Olympics, things need to be right for the Olympics to take place, I guess.
Right.
How did you feel at that time?
Yeah, it was just all the decisions that were made ahead of time with sports. I think the first thing that we felt was the NBA, postpones or cancels, and then the NCAA postpones their stuff. And so it was like that domino effect. And then the Olympics were still up in the air. And then you're thinking, wow, for softball specifically, we have women on the Canadian national team, women on the USA national team. And of course, I know all the USA women because I'm on the coaching staff, but you're thinking, like, how are you supposed to be training when all the gyms are closed? And
right.
how are the track and field athletes supposed to even go to the Olympics if they haven't qualified for the Olympic Games? And it was like, there's no way these can go on. How is this happening? And then when it got postponed to 2021, you're saying, like, it's kind of a relief to, like, okay, reset this thing. And then, you kind of fear for the funding for all of these athletes. And, it's a hard time for that. But in perspective, I mean, you hope it can go on, and you hope that can continue in 2021, and those athletes can live out those dreams. And you just hope and pray that those things can carry on, and that society can adjust, and everybody can, recover from all of this financially and physically.
As I look at you and went at you there, and you said that your nephew's a senior, I was thinking of the seniors that my kids know. My son's a junior and my daughter's a sophomore, but they don't get graduation. And to have Aunt Heather there, and granted, it's kind of one of the, it's so, you wish that these kids could get this in some capacity, right? But to have you there at a time that you wouldn't be there, have you helped him at all through that? Because it's disappointing. You deal with kids so much.
Yeah, well, my nephew is 9th grade, and my niece is a senior.
Okay, so I was backwards. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. My niece doesn't play sports, and like some of the biggest things that are going to happen to somebody, maybe if they're not in sports, is a prom, is a graduation. It's like super sad to think that they won't get to experience those life experiences. So you really feel bad for that part. But I'm hopeful that the communities in every area, there's some graduation car parades that can go on that can honor those seniors, whether they're athletes or not, because it is a life experience to achieve that graduation and to be celebrated. And as we all might have, had that experience, and this group deserves that. I hope each community can go through that and honor those kids and those young people well.
When you get back to UW and things go back to normal, what are you going to do first? What's going to be the first thing you do? Have you thought about that at all?
Man, that's a great question, Mike. I think the thing I'm going to do is just, I want to be around our people, whether that is our team, of course, our team, but our support staff. I mean, they're amazing, whether that be Nicole Wood, who does all of our travel behind the scenes, or our field guy, Nick Mortel, who, fortunately, he's able to still do his work on our field right now, although we can't see him doing it, and he's not chalking the field and doing all the lines and stuff. But our equipment manager, Gary McGuire, people like that who you just like love those people, and they really keep us all going. Those are the people that really you miss on a daily basis. You miss the games, you miss just the potential to have a football season, you miss those thoughts, but really I think the people is what I'm going to be drawn to, just to be around those humans that really want to help you be great. I just can't wait to be connected, like physically, with everybody that we may have taken for granted on a daily basis.
Totally agree. It seems to be, I think, the thoughts of a lot of people. Just friends, right? I want to give you a hug. Simple as that,
Elbow.
Yeah, the elbow.
Yeah.
No more handshaking. I do like that
Yeah.
deal with the feet. Have you seen how people kind of do the foot bump? Like it's like you kind of like tap. You stand on one leg and you just kind of tap feet.
Yeah, foot tap.
Well, maybe enough for the coordinator.
The other thing that's weird is, 25 of our games this 2020 season were on the road, and we had a huge following of actually fans that were just fans. They're not family, they're not former, associates of people that played in our program. They're literally either brand new fans or fans that, haven't been able to support us maybe to go on away games or on home games. Just so many people have supported us this year, and then not be able to be at our stadium showing those fans who we are and what we can do. I feel sad for them we get to be around our team all the time, and we got to play 25 games with these gals, but we just want to share our team with our Husky Nation. I think that's another thing that we really didn't get to experience this year, that we can't wait to, show the, the home fan base, who this team is. And we're going to come back bigger, better than ever, next year. And I'm just really crossing my fingers that we can do that, but before that Husky football can go on, because the elephant in the room is if that doesn't go financially, it's going to be really, really hard to run an athletic department. So we just hope that all that can fall in line as usual.
Right. Yeah, the loyalists around Husky softball are pretty awesome. I know your dad's a big fan, right? So
yes.
No, it's impressive, and I think it kind of spoke to finally getting lights in there, so you guys could host regionals, right? When Woodward was here, it's a matter of, hey, we have great fans. Why wouldn't we do this if lights are a factor? And then finally they came in, and that I think people love that, and they show up for that, and and you guys are awesome to watch. So why wouldn't you enjoy going there, and a great place to be, and a program that just does great things across the board for young women, for fans, and you're the leader of that, and that speaks a lot to who you are and what you do, and you're awesome.
Thank you.
Winningest coach on Mountain Lake. So did
you? We play a lot of games.
Yeah. Did you want to show me what you got with the niece and nephew in the backyard?
We're gonna show a little action here.
All right. How you're spending the day, so to speak,
we're gonna
right?
selfie this. Okay, you guys are gonna show our game. All right, Gib, you got to start it. I'm gonna do it one-handed.
Okay.
Okay, my nephew Gibson, he's gonna start this thing. We have this little routine that we created.
Okay.
Can I switch my Skype screen? I don't really know this little technology.
I'm not really sure. Whatever you need to do.
I'm gonna flip this bad boy. See how technologically advanced I'm not with Skype, but we're just gonna roll with it. I'm gonna do it selfie style. Okay, go ahead, Gib. This is my nephew Gibson and my niece Andy.
Okay.
Say hi, guys. Okay, we do 1, 2, 3 throws, and then we switch. 2, 3. Oops, I caught it. 1.
Of course you did.
2, 3.
Oh, that's awesome.
The pressure's on, right? Competing in the moment. I got one more for you. Okay, we're just using this cool rebounder and
awesome.
making a game out of it. It's like our PE class.
Right, and you got the sunshine, because with you around, I'm sure there's no sitting around, right?
No, they kind of know that we get after it.
Right.
But,
yeah. No,
it's
that's
kind of
cool.
fun. I wish I could do this with more people and more people's kids. But hey, that's your challenge out there. If you're watching this, you see what kind of fun you can have and what kind of cool games you can play.
Yeah, there have been a lot. We've been doing things where people are sending things in. You could try this with them later. I did a thing last night. You do a handstand up against a wall. So, you're not holding the handstand, so to speak. And then you try to put a T-shirt on. So it's one arm, then through the head, and then flipping the arm, and then, putting the whole shirt on, and then going to a handstand. Just trying to land. So
okay, my nephew's he always tells me everything I tell him to do is easy. So that's going to be my next challenge.
Well, if you do that,
Tarr.
film it and send it to me, and we'll put it on the air. Because I'm telling people to try it.
Okay.
We'll see what they do. So that'd be awesome. Heather,
You got it.
thank you so much for your time, and just totally appreciate it. And I don't know, maybe I'll bother you here in another few weeks if we're all still stuck here, just to kind of check in.
We're here for you anytime.
All right. Well,
Thanks for
thank
all
you
that you
so
do,
much.
and
Yeah, thanks
appreciate
for all
you
you
including
do.
us.
You got it. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Go Dogs.
All right. Go Dogs.